Hello everyone, Dr. Devika Rai here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel Dental Planet. Topic for today is cleavage and implantation. In my last video, you all had learned about how fertilization occurs, like how male and female gametes fuse and form zygote. Now in this video, let's learn about how the zygote divides and implants into the uterus. Okay, so first let's learn about the cleavage. Now, what do you mean by cleavage? Cleavage is nothing but the division of cells. That is, it is the process of repeated mitotic division of the zygote within zona pellucida to give rise to small cells called blastomeres. Okay, cleavage is nothing but after the fusion of male and female gametes, the cells will start to divide. That process is known as cleavage. Here in this picture, you all can see the series of cell division. So, here the first picture that is here, this one, it is a zygote. It formed by the male and female gametes fusion. So this zygote will continue to divide further. So first cleavage, that is the zygote will undergo to the first cleavage to form a two cell stage. Okay, and then this two cell stage will undergo second cleavage to form four cell stage, and then this 4 will form the 8 cell stage. Okay, and again this 8 cell stage will undergo 16 cell stage. So this 16 cell stage is known as morula. Okay, 16 cell stage is known as morula. And this, why it is known as morula? Because it resembles the mulberry fruit, hence it's known as morula. This morula 16 cell stage will undergo differentiation and later on it forms the blastocyst. Okay, so like this the cell division occurs. The first the zygote will undergo two cell stage and then four cell stage and then eight, and then it forms the 16th cell stage is known as morula, and then it forms a blastocyst. This is known as blastocyst. Now how the blastocyst is formed? It is formed by, see, this 16 cell stage, that is morula. It has the compact cells. This uterine fluid, it will diffuse into this intercellular spaces and it separates the cells, and there forms the cavity in the cells. In between the cells, it forms a cavity. See here the structure of the blastocyst. As the uterine fluid diffuses in between the cell layers, it forms the cavity, the wider cavity here. This wider cavity is known as blastocele. This accumulated fluid increases intercellular spaces and forms the cavity. And outer lining cells is known as tropoblast, and this inner cell mass is known as embryoblast. So it's the structure of the blastocyst. This blastocyst, it's formed from the 16 cell stage. This 16 cell stage, it when it forms, this uterine fluid will diffuse in between the cells and forms a gap, that's a cavity. So that cavity is known as blastocyst, and the outer lining is known as tropoblast cell layer, and inner cell mass is known as embryoblast. So that's how the blastocyst is formed. Now we are at the end of the cleavage process. We all had seen how the zygote, it divides itself to form the blastocyst. This blastocyst will implant into the uterus. This process is known as implantation. Here in this picture you all can see the ovum. First it will release into the uterine tube and then fertilization occurs, and then after the fertilization, that is fusion of male and female gametes, zygote is formed, and then the zygote will divide to form two cell stage and then four cell stage and then 8 cell stage, and then it forms the morula, that is 16 cell stage. This 16 cell stage, it will differentiate, it form the blastocyst. This blastocyst later on it implants into the uterus. Like this is how the process goes. Now let's learn in detail about how the blastocyst will implant into the uterus. So here you can see in this picture the blastocyst cell. This cell, it has the outer covering is known as zona pellucida. This zona pellucida layer, it will prevent the blastocyst cell implant into the uterus. So that's why this zona pellucida layer has to be removed off. So this process is known as hatching. So in this hatching process, zona pellucida layer will be removed off. So after hatching, Apposition. Apposition is nothing but this blastocyst cell will come into close contact into the uterus. Okay, so that process is known as apposition. And then later on, attachment. Attachment is nothing but this blastocyst will start to invade into the uterus. So that process, the initial process is known as attachment. And then later on, invasion occurs. Invasion is nothing but this blastocyst layer, that is cells, blastocyst cell, that will invade, that is it will go inside the uterus, and then it will totally get implanted into the uterus. So this process, that is the first hatching, that is removal of zona pellucida layer, and then apposition, it will come into close contact with the uterus, and then that attachment occurs, and then invasion occurs, and totally this the blastocyst will implant into the uterus. So that's how the implantation of the blastocyst occurs. So I'll be explaining this in very detail in my next video, that is the second week of development. So for now, in this video, we had learned about the cleavage and the implantation. Cleavage is nothing but the cells, that is zygote, will divide and it forms the blastocyst. And then this blastocyst will implant into the uterus, that is known as implantation. So that's what we learned in this video. Okay, thank you.